Letting go is what separates those who make a few $100,000 to those who make a few $1,000,000. And it has nothing to do with your luck, your business model, or your team, and everything to do with you. Now, I've coached 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs, and I found that this one pattern of not being able to let go is what separates those who make the millions versus those who make the few $100,000. And in order to understand why letting go makes such a big impact, we must understand why letting go is even difficult in the first place. Letting go is difficult because of your identity. Your identity is what allows you to experience this world as it is without going insane. Think about it this way. This is you. This is you, the observer of your mind. You're observing your thoughts and actions every single day. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Your observer mind created an ID. Think about it that way. Your identity is the ID of your brain. Your ID holds you, your name, your thoughts, beliefs, and habits. Every single day, every single action that you take, your mind is scanning to make sure that your ID is being matched with the actions that you're doing. So it's constantly scanning. It's scanning the environment, it's scanning your thoughts, the things you tell yourself. Everything that you do, your mind is making sure that your ID is being matched with your mind. Now, the moment this ID doesn't match, it creates fear. Kind of like when a cop pulls you over and you don't have your driver's license. They get all frantic because they don't know what you're going to do. It's the same way your mind works. The moment you start acting outside of this ID here, this creates fear. Now, fear is the strongest emotion that we have. Fear is the strongest response to stimuli that we have in this world because fear is a primal force. It's what kept us alive, and it's what's going to keep driving our evolution for years and millions of years to come. Now, when your mind sees that you have a false identification, right? And this is all going to make sense in a second. So let's say right now, you want to get somewhere. Let's say you want to achieve X dollars per month, or you want to be the best version of yourself. You have to create a new ID, right? So this ID, still you, right? Your face doesn't change. Your name doesn't change. It's still the same. But what changes is your thoughts, beliefs, and habits. The moment you start acting outside of this and you get a different ID, your mind creates fear and it prevents you from going further. And the reason it does this is because it always reinforces this, because the mind is scared of change. The mind is fearful of change, which is why it's so difficult to let go of things that no longer serve us. Think about toxic relationships, how hard it is to get out of those, how hard it is to get out of firing someone that's clearly not performing in your business. Why does it feel like it feels like death? You know, a part of you feels like it's dying. Well, that's because it is. When you want to achieve a new goal that's outside of this ID right here, your mind's always going to respond with fear. And because fear is such a strong stimuli, your mind knows this, it's going to use it against you. It's always going to use it against you to always get back to the ID that it has proven to know what it is. Think about it this way. Your mind is like a computer. You know, the moment you start acting outside the program, it's going to freak out because the program that you've been living for X amount of years up until now has been the same. And the moment you introduce change, it's like, whoa, what the fuck is this? I didn't sign up for this. What the hell? What is this? So it freaks out, you know? And this is the reason why it's so difficult to let go, because we attach ourselves to these identities. We attach ourselves to these IDs, and naturally so, because we need these IDs in order to function. If you do not have an identity in this world that we live in, it will be almost impossible for you to function as a normal human being. In fact, you might be sent to the psych ward, you know what I mean? Because your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits all determine the things you do in this life, right? Once you start changing that, fear happens and it tries to get you back to your old place, which is why we hold on to things so tight. But here's the thing. Holding on actually does more damage than letting go. You know, humans, we have a tendency to hold on to things even when it's painful and it clearly isn't serving us. We tend to hold on to things even though we know for a fact that if we keep holding on to this, we will burn ourselves in the process. There's this diagram that I'm not going to draw that. I'm not good at drawing shit like that. But there's this diagram of these people playing tug of war, and the person was holding on so tight that when they let go of the rope, they actually had rope burns on their hand. And the caption was, sometimes letting go causes less pain than holding on. Excuse me. And that is true. You see, because we attach ourselves to these things, these goals, this person that we are, our beliefs, our habits, and the way we think and do things, that we would rather protect that than try something new. Think about it this way. When you first started your business or first started going into anything that you were successful in, you've had doubts, you know what I mean? You did not, that person that you are right now did not exist before. So your mind had to constantly be recalibrated to this new version of yourself in order to finally let you do the things you want to do. But when you first started, there was no evidence that any of the things you were going to do was going to work. So your mind was fearful of rejection and fear itself that is not going to work. But now that you've reached a certain level, this same pattern doesn't go away. Just because you did it once doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. You see, when you finally leveled up, you've attached yourself to a new identity, and this identity is now what's running the show. So, for example, I was coaching this client named Luke. He runs a seven-figure agency out in the UK. And the one thing when I was speaking to him on the phone was that he knew the thing that was holding him back. It was his time, right? His time was being taken up every single day. And because his time was being taken up, he couldn't do the things he wanted to do that moves the needle even further. So he knew that he needed to let go of some parts of his business and let others handle it. But the problem is that he was fearful. He was fearful that the person that he was going to hire was not going to do the same job as him. And truth be told, he's most likely right. That person will probably not do the exact same job, but instead of trying to let go and trying to let someone else take over and train them to whatever capacity he needs them to be, he actually preferred to hold on. And he told me that he would rather make this move a year from now rather than today. So from now, instead of doing the thing that he knows he needs to do, he'd rather hold on much longer and burn himself in the process rather than just letting go. So now that we understand why letting go is difficult, well, why does letting go actually make you millions of dollars? That's the $1 million question. That's the reason why you clicked on this video. Okay. So like I said, this is you. Now this right here is you. And this is your frame. Now, just like your ID, I just made that to make you understand it a bit more. This frame is your ID. It holds your thoughts, beliefs, your patterns, and your habits. Your mind needs to have a frame. It needs to have an identification in order to function properly, right? Now, here's the thing. Just like a camera records 30 frames a second. So if I stand here and do nothing, the frame will not change. This is the way your life is working. Your thoughts, beliefs, and habits are producing the same frame. So if you're wondering why nothing is changing, well, that's because you're producing the exact same frame because you have the same thoughts, beliefs, habits, and patterns, right? Now, because you're duplicating the same frame, you're producing the same results. No matter what you do, it will pop up as the same results. If you tear down your business, you will produce the same business. If you hire someone who's similar to someone else at your job, you would produce the same results. In order for you to let go and finally get the change that you want, first of all, this person needs to be eliminated. It needs to be sacrificed. Now, what happens when there's no frame? Well, that doesn't exist because non-existence is not a thing. You see, your frame is existence, is what you're alive. That's what it is. There is no non-existence, so the frame is going to be replaced. Now the goal. Sorry, my cat is meowing right now. It's kind of difficult to concentrate, but now the goal is to replace this frame with a frame that allows your next level to happen. So this means that in order to get the things that you want, you must do the thing no one else is willing to do. Which means that you must be willing to actually let go so that a new frame can take place. Because if you stay the same and you don't change, you can't change if something's the same. You know what I mean? We're built to change. We're built to grow. That's the point of the soul. It's the point of this world, is to grow. And if you're not going to grow, then you're going to produce the same results. And that's okay. If you want to produce the same results, by all means, click off this video. But something tells me if you clicked on this video, you want to get to your next level. It's just difficult because it's painful. Now, here is the thing. There's no easy way to do this. Okay, there's no easy way to just let go. It's going to be painful, but it must be done. If you want to get the things that you desire out of your life, your business, and your relationships, you must be willing to kill the old version of yourself so that the new one comes anew. And here's the thing. The reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling is because you're outgrown your current frame. So if this is you, well, regular face, your frame is literally crushing you. That is your frame. And you want to grow, but your frame is not allowing you to do it. You want to grow, but your mind is not allowing you to do it because you would rather hold on to something that you're familiar with than actually let go and experience something new. And this is where depression, burnout, and everything of those come from, because your innate ability is to grow. And the fact that you are reaching the limits of your shell and your shell is holding you in is causing you pain. Now, here's the thing about human nature. You can't fight it, but you must understand it. You must work against it. Okay? Well, no, not against it. You must work with it so that you can pass on to your next level. Because if you try fighting this, it's only going to box you in even more. You see, what did I say earlier? Fear is the biggest motivator. Fear is the biggest stimuli to us so that we can get moving. It's what allowed us to not get eaten by lions. It's what allows us to live today. Fight or flight, okay? Fear is the biggest motivator. Now, this is where you must use fear to aid you. So if you use fear, Okay. And this is kind of where alchemy comes in, turning something into something else, like turning like mercury into gold. If you ever heard about that, the Fulcanelli. Anyways, you must use fear to your advantage. And this is where anti-vision comes in. If you ever heard of anti-vision, we'll get to that in a second. But first, we must understand what fear actually is, because, you know, we say these words all the time, but we don't really understand what fear is. I want you to think of fear as a virus. Fear is a virus. It always exists. You can't get rid of fear, right? Now, fear, what happens is when you attach a story to fear, aka, oh, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I should do this. I'm just going to stay the same. What happens is when you attach fear to a story, it starts to multiply. Now, instead of fear just being this force that's just there all the time, now it's being multiplied. And by the time you want to make a decision, you're so blinded by fear, you would actually not want to move, or you will move in the direction that your fear wants you to, the way your mind wants you to. So this will cause you to live the exact same way and cause you to be subject to the will of your mind. So how do you actually use this process to work with you? This is where anti-vision comes in. Okay. So anti-vision is the practice of using pain to actually motivate you in the direction that you want to go. So think about it this way. Regular vision is a pulling force. When you have a vision, let's say your vision is to make $500,000 a month. That vision exists out there. It doesn't exist here right now. It exists out there. So you have to pull it towards you. You have to constantly think about it and pull that thing towards you. You don't push forward, you pull it. Anti-vision is a pushing force. So instead of thinking about your vision on what you want to pull, you think about what happens if you stay the same. This is using the alchemy of fear to change the way fear responds in you. Because if you think about, I want to hit 500K a month, but what happens if I stay the same? Now you start moving. You start being pushed in the direction that you directed towards. Because remember, your mind is 95% subconscious and 5% conscious. Okay? This is a huge disadvantage right out the gate. And if you understand this, you would understand that you need to work with your mind, not against it. Because the moment you start pushing against the grain, it's kind of like how they tell you when you're swimming in the current, don't swim against the current, swim parallel, right? Because if you try swimming towards the current, you're going to drown because you're going to run out of energy. You're not stronger than the current. It's the same way your mind works. If you try pushing yourself outside of the parameters of what your mind deems to be, safe, then it's going to push you back in the direction it wants you to. But if you use that current to fuel your next vision or fuel you to the right direction, you can work with your fear to push you diagonal, right? So when you use vision to anti-vision, to use pain to get you to the next level, this is where letting go becomes a little bit easier, because letting go in itself is difficult. It feels like death. That's because it is. You're killing the old version of yourself, something you attached yourself to up in the void with no explanation. You see, your mind deprioritizes things that doesn't exist in the current state and time. We're hardwired to work in the current present moment. That's because we are supposed to be alert of our current surroundings. If we just sat down and daydreamed every day, we would have died out as a species a long goddamn time ago, right? But we have the ability to dream and we have the ability to attract things to us. So by understanding of using fear to actually aid you in your transformation, this is where letting go actually becomes a little bit easier. So if you have a difficult time of, let's say, for example, Luke, he has his time taken up all the damn time and he has no place to actually do the things that he wants to do. So instead of using fear to stay the same, he should use the fear of what happens if I continue to do the same thing today. Now he has the motion, the movement to start pushing somewhere, pushing in a direction that he wants to go into. Because think about it this way. You got to use the dual persona. What's more painful, staying the same or trying something new? When you do that, and if you use your mind to actually work out the kinks of, how much more painful it actually is, you would actually start using fear to push you and aid you in your direction. Okay? So by using the anti-vision of the pushing force and the vision of the pulling force, you are able to pull yourself out and actually let go of the old version of yourself that's no longer serving you. Because at the end of the day, the more you hold on to something that you inherently know is causing you pain, it will do nothing but cause you more pain. So you're going to experience pain either way. There's no way to escape this. But you can use the pain of something else or the pain of your current state to fuel you into your next level, because it's always going to be painful. Humans are hardwired to step away from pain. If I put my hand on a stove and that shit is hot, I'm going to move my hand immediately unless I'm a psychopath, but I'm not. But I'm going to move my hand because we move away from pain. So if you use your current state as your level of pain, you will move away from your pain instead of staying the same. So there's two ways. There's two types of people that handle this. There's people who get scared into the same place that they are, and there's people who get scared out of their current level. What person are you? Are you the person who gets scared and just gets paralyzed like a deer in headlights? Or are you the person who uses the current level of pain that you have to constantly move and stay in motion? And those who separate from the 99% and the 1% is the ability to move fast and execute your next level instantly. Those people who move fast understand that certain things are no longer serving them and they let go. The people who make the millions of dollars, stupid amounts of money, understand that holding on to things that don't serve them is what's holding them back. And they're instantly able to let go. Because here's the thing. When I say they're instantly able to let go, it doesn't mean it's not painful. It is painful. But they're able to look at the pros and cons and instantly make a decision and start moving fast. You see, a lot of these 7-8-figure entrepreneurs, a lot of these successful people are holding on so long, they don't realize that that's the one thing that's holding them back. Some do realize that's the one thing holding them back, and yet they choose to be complacent in the stage that they're in. Those who operate at top 1% understand that change is constant. Pain is constant. And if you try to avoid pain, you will be complacent and you will be staying at the same level. Now, if you want to stay at the same level, that's okay. Right? There's nothing wrong with staying at the same level, but it is wrong when you are talking about growth, because growth is not the same. Growth is not linear. Growth is up, down, left, right, in other directions. It's not a steady path. It's not. So if you are an entrepreneur or founder who's having a difficult time letting go and understanding that this is what it takes to reach your next level, go down below because I have some resources for you to help you understand this much better